know what Instituto Cervantes is? It's a cultural institute, and it's a branch, a non-for-profit branch of the government of Spain. So we're now on Spanish property, and Spain's colors are red and yellow, so you'll see a lot of red around here. I don't see any yellow, but, well, those gloves are yellow, so we've got the red and the yellow. So I'm obliged to read a statement to you. Just a few words about Instituto Cervantes, just in case you're not familiar. The Instituto Cervantes is Chicago's non-for-profit center for Spanish language and cultural exchange, an institution founded by the government of Spain in 1991. The mission is to promote the Spanish language and the cultures of all Hispanic countries, and is the largest Spanish teaching organization in the world, with more than 80 centers on 5 different continents. The ultimate goal of the Institute is to promote the education, the study, and the use of Spanish universally as the second language. To support the methods and activities that would help the process of Spanish language education, and to contribute to the advancement of Spanish and Hispanic American cultures throughout non-Spanish speaking countries. Painting, photography, graphic artwork, film, animation. Those are the visual arts, as opposed to the performing arts. What are the performing arts? Dancing, singing. Yeah, you got it. So we've got the two. Now, what Latino Art Beat has done is we've attempted to marry the visual and the performing arts in the 2 films that we've produced so far in the last couple of years. And you're going to see both of the films this evening. One is a finished product, which we've done a couple of years ago, and hopefully when you see the second one, it will be a much better film, but I'll get your reaction when we get into the Q&A. So, in effect, we're promoting young people into acting, singing, dancing. And the film that you're going to preview, that we're going to preview screen, is called The Dance. Okay? Now, in the dance, we have young people acting, we have young people directing, we have young people script writing, we have young people doing, you know, some of the music. We have Phil Schaaf, who is a first-time score writer, and he's still relatively young, a little bit younger than me. And then, of course, I'm the producer. Any questions about Latino Art Beat and what our goals are? Not yet. Okay, that's great. Projectionist session. Now, I'm not going to ask you which film you like the best, because that's unfair. But we're going to talk a little bit about each one of the films. Now, Talk to Me, which was the very first film that came on, was directed by Jordan Santacana. Now, he's not here. He lives in Los Angeles, so it'll be difficult to do Q&A on the first film. If you had any questions, I'll try to answer them. But what I'd like to do now is I'd like to bring up the crew and the director from the fourth wall. So if all of you guys could come up here. And I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself and then just let the audience know what role you had in the film. Unfortunately, the mic is not on. Okay. So if you scream a little bit.
I will use my voice. Hi, my name is Christopher McClellan. I was also a second AD and a script supervisor on the fourth wall.
I'm Danny Lipsky. I was also a script supervisor, an associate producer, and the art director.
I'm Alex Schiffer, sound designer.
I'm Tyler Dolan. I was just helping Adam whenever he asked me for his opinion. So I don't have a real role. I just helped out when asked.
I'm Jordan Letterman. I was also a second AD and script supervisor.
Jason Pauly. I was a production assistant and a creative producer.
Now, a few months back, Adam and his twin brother Daniel and I met for the first time. But we met for the first time in front of an audience of, what did we say? We had about 1,000 people there that night. I'd never met them before. They'd never seen me before, maybe pictures or on the internet or on television or in movies, but We hadn't met each other in person. We did not advise in advance who the winner of the 2014 National Youth Short Film Competition was. So we held the event at, as I said earlier, at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood, which is the very famous theater, you know, with the Chinese castle and all of the hand and footprints of movie stars dating back to the 20s. So it was quite a spectacular place, a spectacular audience, and a befitting place to judge all of the student films that we had received from all over the United States. It wasn't just the cities that Latino Art Beat works in, it was all over. Now, Daniel and his brother is from Detroit, and I think most of you are from Detroit, from the Michigan area.
Yes.
Is there an exception?
I am an exception.
All right, so we've got an exception. So when I announced the winners, Adam's mother broke out in tears. She was screaming and running toward the stage. But Adam and Daniel grabbed a hold of her and said, no, this is our award. They got up there. You received a beautiful...
We got a little certificate and a $40,000 scholarship to a school in Boston.
Wow.
And a crystal trophy, which is the equivalent of the Grammys, of the Oscars. I was thinking of the Grammys and combining the two words. Now, I'd like to have some questions from the audience. Now, I know you all enjoyed the film because I heard the rousing applause. There were some special effects. I quite liked when the actors were getting killed when they were being run over. Very psychological film. And I think now everybody understands what the fourth wall is, correct? Okay. Who wants to tell this rousing audience what the fourth wall is?
So the fourth wall is the classic term in a movie or a story when a character acknowledges that they're in a story. Some famous people that have done that, Mel Brooks does that a lot. Anytime you acknowledge that a story is being told and it's not real life, is breaking the fourth wall.
Has anyone seen House of Cards before? That's breaking the fourth wall when Kevin
When you look in the camera and
And
say...
he tells you what he's doing, what he's thinking.
Hey.
And it's an accepted old Hollywood expression of when you're breaking the fourth wall. And quite a few directors actually did it, and it's just easy to tell. When the actor is talking to you, to the audience, he's breaking the fourth wall.
The term comes from like a classic setup, like of a set. How there's the one wall here, the second wall, the third wall, and the camera and the crew, and the fourth wall. And when they acknowledge that there's no fourth wall, is sort of where it comes from.
Now, we're going to ask for questions.
How did you get the idea of starting out in a prison setting? That was very unique, I guess, no?
Well, a prison is a good example of something with three solid walls and one wall that's not so much a wall because you can see through it. And we liked that idea, and we liked the idea of connecting that with the psychological aspects of the characters in the movie. The writer is sort of in this mental prison, and he has to knock down his challenges in his life in order to break through the fourth wall. So there's a couple different meanings that we try to give to this term, the fourth wall. And we thought a prison would be a good way to visually show one of those.
That's good, yeah.
I saw a hand here somewhere.
Over here. So, the narrator has quite a lot to say throughout the entire film. And I'm just curious, obviously it's all written down in screenplay, but transferring that to the actor can be quite challenging to do in the takes that you were doing, because you had some longer ones, but then you have some cuts. How strict or lenient were you with your narrator? For instance, you letting him ad-lib maybe something that's similar to what you were saying, or were you more focused on getting it exactly right as it was on the page?
That's a great question. With the narrator, a lot his his acting, his lines that he was reading were as if he was reading the script that the writer was writing. So with him, there wasn't so much, he pretty much stuck to the script, but the writer, on the other hand, did a lot of improvising, and especially with the scene with the drunk driver and a lot of the jail cell scenes, almost all of the other actors' lines were actually improvised, and we came up with a couple fun things during rehearsals that we used in the movie.
Good question and good answer.
How long did it take to put it all together?
Well, we had actually only 2 days of shooting, 2 long days. One of them was like a 19-hour day. Altogether, yeah.
I think we finished shooting at 4 in the morning.
We started at like 5 in the morning that day.
Yeah, so we were there for pretty much an entire 24 hours. It was like insane.
Yeah, and the train station set is actually a theater for like Broadway shows in Detroit that we had to shoot at night because they had stuff going on during the day. So we started that shoot at like 7 p.m., finished at like 6 a.m.
And there was like a power out during the
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of things.
Okay, guys. Phil.
I didn't see who. Did you write the script as well?
Are you asking me, or?
Well, a few people said they worked on the script.
We were all script,
Yeah.
consultants. We kind of oversaw the writing of the story and gave little input here and there.
Whether we said like, oh, this is kind of weird, or
This might
add
work, this
something,
doesn't
yeah.
work, things like that.
Gotcha. Cool. To the director, did you start the script and then?
Yeah, it was
Kind of
sort of like
put it
my brother
together.
and I had the idea, but a lot of what you see has been inputted from the guys you're seeing on the stage right now. So everyone is to credit for that.
Very cool. Very cool. And
Fernando. Oh, sorry. Do you have another part to the question?
you go.
Oh,
Fernando.
so I know you just stated, like, you kind of started with the idea. How do you feel about your finished product? Like, seeing its stages, like, what are your feelings towards it, not only as part of the creation of it, but also the director and how it came out on film? Like, what were all your emotions when you first started, and what were all your thoughts now? I'm sorry.
That's a long question.
Yeah.
I'm going to help Adam out a little bit. I've been involved in making films for a long time, and dates back to Whitney Houston in The Bodyguard, when we were conceptualizing the film. But sometimes when you spend so much time on a film and on the sets and thinking about it and writing the scripts and doing the music and auditioning the actors and then getting the actors in place, I don't think a director or a producer is ever 100% happy when he sees it on the screen. You can always pick out, could have done this better. The sound is not that great. I don't know, why is that airplane in the sky? It's an 1842 film. So that's kind of my impression. But I want to hand it back to Adam.
Well, overall, I'm very happy with it. But yeah, definitely. If I'm sitting in a theater watching it, I'll sit there. Oh, it could have been tweaked a little bit. But at this point, it's been a year since we finished it. So now I started to sit back and watch it, and it's a nice feeling.
I remember one day when I came up to him and asked him, hey, how's the editing going? He said, oh, well, we haven't finished. I'm like, oh, can I have a copy? And he gave me a copy, and you said, what were your expectations? And I watched it, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of artists will say, like, I know Alex, like, with his sound, and a lot of them will say, like, no, he said, like, when you spend so much time looking at it, you just hate it afterwards. But then other people, yeah.
There's also my claim to fame. I don't know if you guys caught it, but the narrator's eating a slice of pizza, and I just walk in, scoop it up, and walk away. And just that little, like, 2-second scene, I'm looking at him like, oh, Jesus.
I'm sure you all know that feeling as artists.
How do you get the team to work together? It look like you mesh real good, but how is that really hard? Or
I think for us, because we've known each other, all these guys we've known for a long time, so that collaborative spirit just kind of just clicks with us. But also just because we all of us have great personalities with each, no, just seriously with each other.
You're awesome.
I'm saying we all have great personalities with each other, and that kind of shows with the rest of the crew. And the crew is going, okay, well, we can work with these people, we can work with these guys, and create a final product that's up to what we want, up to our expectations. So,
yeah, I think all of us up here already have such a great chemistry with each other. Like Adam and I, we've been making films together since we were 13 or so. So we just have a great working relationship, and we all live together and we have a good time. So.
And no one wants to work on a bad movie, so everyone strives to make sure it's as great as it can be. And when you have a great script like the one Adam wrote, that just makes it all the easier.
of course.
well, what's the next production?
Go ahead. We're all
Well, hopefully we're going to get these guys to do something together with Latino art people.
All right, great.
Additional questions?
One day of shooting that is the one you're most worried about, that if it goes wrong, you don't have another chance, something like that. I'm curious which one was that in this film?
That's another good question. That's a good question.
Well, Nick is also a film.
Yeah, I can tell.
We try to get a film audience here and then a few miscellaneous people.
I wasn't really worried so much about how things would play out story-wise or creative-wise because I had complete faith in the crew and the actors, and but probably something more logistic. Maybe securing that location of the Fisher Theater, which was the train station set, which it literally came down to 2 days before, and we had to get insurance, and our other location fell through. So, I mean, the week before shooting is really stressful, and that was a particularly logistical heavy shoot. So, probably that, I would say.
Also, the car accident scene, we literally had to run that actor over 5 different times until we got to
He actually did get hit by the car. That was no, I'm not a joke. That's not a joke.
The first one or the second one?
And that's why you don't see him on the stage.
He was a pleasure
He's
to
in
work
our
with.
hearts.
Question from this area.
Okay.
There's one back.
Yes.
I noticed, I don't know if this came through in your writing, but can you guys talk about your influences with not only the writing but also the production? It reminded me of Clockwork Orange.
Definitely. With the music, definitely.
And then, second question, can you guys talk about the budget for the film?
Who would like to address the budget?
I guess I can cover the budget. Yeah, this was kind of my.
Now, being a producer myself, that's always the most sensitive area.
So Adam and his brother, they did a Kickstarter campaign, or what was it? Yeah, Indiegogo, and they raised a lot of money that way. And then we talked to my stepdad, who has a bit of money, and we kind of convinced him, look, your money will not be wasted. You're investing in something good. So that's how he ended up with the title of executive producer. He sent us a check. And there you have it. We have our budget.
Wasn't the pizza product placement too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Clockwork Orange?
Influences.
Definitely Kubrick is a huge one. I'd say with the way we do our shots, we like to mimic Scorsese as much as possible. He's my favorite. So hopefully that came across. I don't know if it did or not, but
I think the Godfather would have appreciated that. Any other questions for these filmmakers? May we have a round of applause. And I certainly feel with the success of the fourth wall that these guys are going to get together and do something even bigger and better. They all attend one of our partner colleges, Columbia College Chicago. The filmmakers that I've worked on with two of the films that you saw tonight are also Columbia College. Columbia College produces some of the best filmmakers. And there are just so many famous filmmakers who have gone to Columbia College. So hopefully we're looking at the future great filmmakers here. And someone's trying to break into our set. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Annie Reyes, who's in the middle there with the red t-shirt on, has written a lot of short stories, scary stories. So we decided that perhaps we should create a film out of one of these stories. So he approached his cousin, one of my other nephews, Nicola, to see if Nicola would be interested in bringing to life some of Manny's stories. And then Nicola says, well, I have my close friend, Matt, who's good on the camera, and it just sort of grew from there. And we looked at a couple of the stories and decided that the museum one would be kind of a nice one as a first film. And you saw it earlier this evening, visiting the museum. It was challenging because we really wanted to film it on location. And the University of Chicago, the Oriental Institute Museum, kindly decided that they would allow us in their premises. Now, it was the first time that a film crew that actually did a real film, as we did, were in there with real mummies and artifacts worth, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. So we had to be careful about lights, temperature, what we can do, and noise, and that type of thing. But I think that Nicola pulled it off very well and made a product that we were all satisfied with. So then we moved on to the dance, which you saw as the last film, and this is a preview screening, so we may tweak the film a little bit. We're certainly going to add more music to it, and we have a surprise guest pop artist who's going to do the theme song for us. So anyway, that's a little bit about the background, and most of us here are all from Columbia College. Columbia College was my school for 15 years. No, not that I had to take 15 years to get it. So, I'd like questions, and if you want to direct maybe some of your first questions to the director. Elisa.
How easy or hard is it to get everyone lined up to get it together the way you want it?
Well, it depends on the day, I guess. We had a lot of people in the crew who are very serious about it and very helpful and gave a lot of their time. And if you called them, they answered. If you said, can we meet today? Everybody tried their best to make it. I think the logistical stuff with all the extras and the cast was a little bit harder and a little more nerve-wracking to plan because we didn't actually know how many people and who would show on our dance day. So that was maybe more out in the wind. But everything else, I think everybody was pretty dedicated, so it wasn't really that nerve-wracking. I trusted everybody. Yep.
I have a question for the actors. Do you guys work locally, or was it like you found it through like a website like Actors Access, or you know, how did you guys kind of find this audition for this particular production?
Well, Dawn actually contacted my high school that I currently attend. I'm a senior. So I kind of found out about this process through my acting teacher, and she called Dawn in, and we had kind of a first round of auditions and just going through the regular auditions process. And then I made it to the set, and it was an awesome experience. I'm a stage actor, so this was my first film, and just going through the film audition process is a bit different than stage because they look more at how you read on film, and I'm used to sitting in an audition room and somebody saying, okay, now go, do your monologue. And I'm like fully into it, but I had to focus more on, well, how's this going to transition into the camera? If I do all this emotional prep and I physicalize this emotion, am I gonna look like a monster on film? So that was an interesting type of way of transitioning into film, and Don really helped with that during the first round of auditions and callbacks. So.
Yeah. Well, I've actually known Don for a really large part of my life, the short amount that I've lived so far, because my father, Luis Ortiz, he was one of the judges for an art scholarship with Latino Art Beat. So I knew Don by that, but the reason that I found out about the movie was because Don and my parents came to a musical I was in a couple years back when he was looking for people to be in his movie, the short film. And he said, and he was like, after I was done in the musical, he was like, oh, are you interested in a short film movie? And I was like, yeah, totally. But like Fernanda said, it's really different to be in a film than it is on stage, because film is in somewhat, not easier, but you have more time to get into your character, and on stage if you don't know your lines or you don't know the song, you're just like, blah. But yeah, so that's how I found out about this.
Now you know that wasn't water in the bottle that he was drinking. We've known Phil, or also known as Donald Duck, for several years. Phil has got a music lesson studio in Oak Park, Illinois, and we invited Phil and one of the bands that he was promoting to do one of our award ceremonies, to be the entertainment. And then we became friends from there. And we started talking about the first film, visiting the museum, and he indicated an interest. Of course, I didn't realize that he was a natural-born comedian at that point, but we did discover that later on. And I know that Nicola and Matt, really enjoyed working with him over the last two films. Manny, I'd like you to say something about what inspired you on this particular story, and then how you and Nicola and Matt got together to actually make this as the second film. By the way, this is the second of a trilogy, so we have one more film to come. And I assume that you guys would be interested in seeing a third film?
Yes.
Yeah. Inspiring me for this film was a story that Don told me many years ago. I'm sure most people have heard about Resurrection Mary.
Yeah.
So he sat down and he told me the story, and I started thinking like, hey, this is a good idea to write a story. So I sat down, and within a day, I had the story. I gave it to Don, and he read it. He's like, it's not bad. It's pretty good. And it's a few months, 6 months ago, something like that, we picked it out and we decided. I talked with Don, Matt, and Nick, and we started bumping heads, and we came up with the idea. Okay, we could do this, and we filmed it, and you guys seen it.
How many of you guys are familiar with the Chicago legend of Resurrection Mary? A few of you, right? I first heard the story from my father, and I was maybe 10 or 11 years old at that time. And Resurrection Mary's been around for about 100 years. I'm not quite that old yet. And he told me the story about this woman that he had danced with. And then it turned out that he discovered that he had danced with Resurrection Mary. Now, of course, I wasn't going to challenge my father, and he's since passed on, so I can't question him. But that's what inspired me to give Manny, you know, a little background on Resurrection Mary, and then he made the story. Nicola is the one that brought the story to life, obviously. You could have the greatest story in the world, but if you can't put it on the screen and make people believe in what they're seeing, then it's not a successful film. So I have to congratulate Nicola for his part in directing and making it happen. Now, cinematography is important because we see the story through the eyes of the lens of the camera. And here's the cameraman.
Hello.
Hi.
Bonjour.
Does anybody have any questions about the cinematography?
Would you shoot it on?
We shot on the 5D Mark II, and I have a Sigma lens that goes with that. So,
How long have you been doing this?
well, I graduated from Columbia last year. I haven't really done a lot of cinematography, so bear with me. You know, I'm trying to get better, hopefully. So I've been doing it for about 4 years or so.
Now, let's have some general questions to, you know, anyone on the stage, the director, the story writer, actors. Yes, ma'am.
Do you already have a story for the third movie? Do you know what it is going to be about?
Ah, the third movie. I'm going to defer that to Nicola and to Manny.
I'm gonna defer that to Manny.
Yeah, we got a story picked out. And we're hoping to start, you know, when the weather gets, it breaks and it starts getting warmer outside. I don't want to give you too much away, so we do have a story picked. Yeah, you are. Yeah, but we got a story picked out.
Well, it looks like we're going to make a third film then.
All right.
Questions on timing, where we filmed, how the actors got there? Yes?
Which approximate timing did you do the recording at the cemetery?
You mean like how long it took?
No, like what time did you actually go in there?
Oh, okay. It was midnight. I think we started, went till about 2, 3, something like that. Yeah, it wasn't too long because well, they were a little bit nervous about letting us in there, so we didn't want to overstay our welcome. And a lot of the crew and cast were creeped out, understandably, because we kept hearing animals and stuff, so we wanted to be out as soon as possible.
I actually saw a coyote sitting behind a tombstone. And I don't know if Matt actually saw it, but he was kind of near it. And it just kept, you know, woo. And maybe I was the only one who heard it. So that kind of creeped me out. And then there was a small fawn that jumped behind my back, if you remember that. The guys heard the noise, but the fawn was just so fast. I think the worst part of being in a cemetery after midnight is that it creeps people out. I mean, it's not normal to be in a cemetery at that time, you know, of the night. But because we were there in the summer, and this cemetery is located just off the Des Plaines River, we were inundated with mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So that was probably the greatest downside of being out there was all the mosquitoes.
Yeah, it was the middle of summer, and we were all wearing jackets and jeans and stuff, so everybody was a little bit uncomfortable and unhappy, but we got it done.
The cemetery director cautioned me about something. And by the way, he did show up. He came at about 1:30 or 2 in the morning, something like that. We were already well into shooting. And he said, "Don, I have to tell you this." He said, one of the paranormal stations came and they dropped cameras and lights all over the cemetery about 2 years ago. and anytime anything passed the motion detector, the cameras and the lights would go on, and it would record whatever tripped off the cameras and the lights. And he said he was absolutely shocked when he saw the video footage. Now that scared me to the point, and I didn't tell the cast and crew that he was telling me this, and I'm figuring, okay, what did you see on that film? Because we haven't gone out there yet, and maybe we're not going to go out there. So then he looks at me, I was sitting in his office, and he said, we saw like Animal Kingdom. He said there were coyotes, there were this, there were that, there were dogs, there were all kind of... I said, was there anything else you saw? And he said, no, that was it, just all the animals. So I said, okay. I called Nicola, I said, yeah, we're clear, we can go into the film. So that was a little bit scary. I don't think he's here tonight. Just to let everybody know, and I know some of you have left because you didn't want to hear the Q&A, but that's all right, we don't miss them. This was a preview screening of the dance. So we may do some tweaking, we may, as I said earlier, we're going to add some additional sound and a song to it, etc., etc. And then we will have an official premiere, but we'll do it in the spring when the weather is better, and we'll do it at one of the cinemas in Chicago. And obviously we'll let everyone know, and you're welcome to come to the premiere. Now, do we have any other questions? Okay. My glasses are reflecting on these lights, so I can't see. Yes, go ahead.
I know you said you were in high school, but are you all in high school? I'm sure you're in high school.
I'm a senior.
Yeah.
Just graduated.
He's in my class. But yeah, I'm a senior as well as Fernando. We both graduated this year. Yeah.
So you will be in college, and obviously Matt and Nicola have already graduated, and I'm a cornerstone in one of those buildings.
Graduated Columbia. We're done with college, yeah. We're a little bit older.
Manny, anything else you want to...
Any more questions?
By the way, is little Manny here?
Yeah.
Can I have little Manny come up here?
Here, little Manny.
Do you remember the opening scene in the dance when they're out in the park and Fernando's going up to Cindy? Well, by the way, the girl who plays Cindy is Elisa's sister.
Yes.
She was unable to make it tonight. And then you saw two little kids kind of, remotely and kind of scarily, playing chess or checkers. This is little Manny, Manny's son.
All right.
Now, does anybody have any questions as to how he felt in being in his first film?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the question. How did you feel being in your first film?
Famous.
All right.
Okay. I like that answer. What were you guys playing? Was that checkers?
No, chess.
And how old are you?
9.
Can we have a round of applause?
All right.
Any other questions?
Who won the game? Manny. Little Manny. Who won the game? Neither? You guys didn't finish the game? Pretend.
I guess it's one of these long chess games, right? And it was his sister that he was playing with. She's not here this evening, Alicia. Yes?
When you get older, are you going to ask your father to be in more of his movies?
Maybe.
He's not sure yet. But good question.
Manny, what was your favorite part of acting? Sitting in the grass.
That was a good question, and that was the appropriate answer. And you never know, maybe we can get the, how old are you?
8.
Oh,
Wow.
You started to work.
Well, you got another chess player maybe.
ooh.
Well, I'd like to have another round of applause, please, for all the filmmakers. And we look forward to seeing what they score. And, you know, I hope you enjoy the music in the film. What did you think of the dance? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 5, would you give it a 3.5? A 4? 5?
7.
Thank you. And definitely on the fourth wall, we note that you're going to give it a
9.
3.5, 4. Okay, we got 2 5s. Did you guys enjoy the first movie, the Visiting the Museum, the one with the mummy in it?
Yes.
Okay. Was it the first time for some of you to see it?
Yes.
Okay. And also for the actors, it was the first time to see the dance. And I should have asked you guys what you thought of it, having seen it now on the screen. Was it up to your expectations?
Actually, it was, because I thought it terribly, but you know, I did okay. I did great.
Typical actor, right? He thought it was terrible, but it was okay now that he saw it. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming down. I know it's difficult to come out during a winter night and it's cold and parking is expensive. If anybody parked in the building here, you can get your parking ticket validated at the counter. I think they go home at 9 o'clock, so we still have a few minutes. We will let you know when the next movie is out. We're hoping that the Cooper brothers are going to concentrate on something, and we'd love to cooperate with them in the near future. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. And